All right, everybody. We are all the way live. I'm just checking sound, guys. 1 second. Just checking sound. We are live. Just checking, guys. 1 second. Just checking sound, guys. Microphone check, check, check. Microphone check, check, check. Microphone check, check, check. All right. So, guys, I'm still can't check sound on here, but let's see. Why is it not coming on here? Hold on, guys. 1 second. We are live. We are live. We are live. If you hear me, guys, can you press? I hear you. Oh, yeah. All right. We are good because I would die if I recorded this and there was no sound. That is not happening. What's up, everybody? Okay, we are all the way live coming to you from Southern California in Los Angeles. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Let's Talk on Camera Conversation Mastery with me, Dallas. If you are watching the live or the replay, can you type in live? Don't be shy. Type in live, okay? And if you're watching the replay, please type in replay because the comments go out. The comments make this live alive and it pushes out to other people. So that's how you can show me some love. As some of you may know, I'm a former MTV VJ entertainment reporter, writer, and producer, 20 years of experience as an expert storyteller. That is what I do. But today I help coaches and content creators position their brands on the right platforms, with the right messaging, and literally with powerful video content. Well, I call them reels, and around here we call them sticky reels. I have a sticky reels mastermind coming up in the next 3 to 4 weeks. But in the meantime, sign up to my newsletter. It's on idallasmedia.com on my website, and you can maximize your marketing efforts just by downloading a content guide that I have there for you. You'll also find out about these wonderful lives that I'm doing on Facebook Live. And you can position yourself as the go-to authority in your niche. So I could not think of, now that I've got all that out of the way, got sound out of the way, I got the live and the replay out of the way, I could not think of having my first guest, because this is the first interview guest for this podcast. I could not think of a better guest than the person that I have coming up next. She's a positive body image, self-esteem advocate. Let me bring her up. And she's a keynote speaker. She's a podcaster. She's a supermodel, plus model extraordinaire. She's, excuse me, but she's also my former client. She's a community, and I want to talk about that too, Chenese. She's a community planner, advocate, community. I mean, she just is so involved in the community. I definitely want to talk about that. But first, I want to brag about you just a little bit, if you let me do that.
Okay.
Denise Lewis was quoted in Forbes as one of the original plus size influencers in 2020. She also is on the cover of um, of Queen Size Magazine this month, right? This month.
Yes.
Yeah, and she will be honored this November at the Full Figured Industry Awards Icon of the Year. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Chenese Lewis.
Yay! Well, thank you so much. It's an honor to be the first guest on your podcast. You are one of my favorite hosting teachers when I was in Los Angeles. And in many of my interviews, I mention your name. You are a big part of helping me create my brand. And so I'm just happy to be here today with you.
And Shanice, I love you so much. It's like there should be a show. You know, remember like Everybody Loves Raymond? You should do a sitcom like Everybody Loves Shanice. Because everybody loves you because you're just so amazing. Like we two guys get to know this girl, okay? And the fact you're gonna fall in love with her too. So icon of the year, Miss Thing.
I'm excited. I'm
I
super
mean,
excited about that.
all right, you're going to New York, right? It's in New
Yes,
York
I'm. It's in New York. In November, tickets
in
are on
November.
sale. But I'm so excited about it because you being an icon, know yourself that sometimes you feel like people forgot about you, forgot about your accomplishments. The new next thing come, but they forget about the OGs sometimes that paved the way.
Yeah,
So
that's so true.
anytime your peers recognize you, it's a blessing. And so I'm so excited to be honored as an icon.
As a matter of fact, like, things are starting to bubble up for you. You're being honored in November. You're on the magazine cover this month. I feel like there was the pandemic and then like things started bubbling up for you again in 2021. And we're going to get into how me and Shanice met and her travels, coming from Louisiana to LA, California. But just have things been just like bubbling up lately, like kind of all of a sudden after pandemic?
Yeah, the pandemic was hard, for everybody because the whole world shut down. So some of the things that I was doing prior to 2020 didn't come back. Like businesses closed down, people stopped what they were doing. And so 2021, I was able to continue with my podcast and continue with my brand. And it's just been a blessing with the power of the internet. You can keep going no matter where you live.
Totally. I totally agree. So how do you feel about that with social media? I know a lot of people don't like social media, but I know you and I have always loved social media. How come
Yeah.
we love it and people hate it? I don't get it.
Well, I think it pros and cons to it. And so the con is, there's a lot of negative haters on there that,
Hmm.
are just trolls. They don't show their face, they're racist. But the positive is free promotion. So no matter what you're doing, what you're selling is free and you have the whole world at your fingertips. So it's pros and cons. It's just how you choose to use it.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, I know things had slowed down for you when you first came out here in 2003, I want to say.
Yeah,
So,
2004.
oh, 20 years ago, almost 20 years
Yeah.
ago. And you came from Louisiana.
Yes.
What is the town? It's outside of New Orleans, right?
Yes, Baton Rouge.
Baton Rouge. Yes, Baton Rouge. Wow. And you came out from a small town girl coming out. What inspired you? What gave you the idea to come out here and pursue your dreams?
Well, I got the bug to be a plus size model and an actress. And I just wasn't in the area where there were opportunities.
Yeah,
Now, to fast forward today, there are lots of productions in the South and New Orleans, and we know Atlanta. But 20 years ago, it wasn't really popping like it was now, like it is now.
right,
And
right.
so I was looking for exposure. So what I did, I entered a beauty pageant to try and get exposure and get my name out and get publicity. And I won. I won the title of Miss Plus America in 2003. And so after I won that national title, I decided to move to Los Angeles because I needed to be where the action was. I needed to be where the opportunities were. And I said I was going to use that national title to give me something extra when I walk in the door.
Yeah, you won. Were you surprised that you won, or you kind of like had a feeling
Well,
in the?
I'm confident, so I always think, I all I do is win. But it was my first pageant, so I was just really blessed for on my first try, without any coaching or everything to win on the first time. So it
That's
was it
so
was
great.
exciting.
And
Yeah.
tell us a story about you came out. So I asked you, did you drive out? Because a lot of people from small towns drive out because they need a
Yes.
car when they get here and they don't want to buy a new one. But you flew out. I'm like, you flew out, like, and so you didn't have a car when you got here, and you were like, and you told me the story. Tell the people the story
Yes.
of how
So
you got out here. How you got out here.
I had my dad drive my car from Baton Rouge to Los Angeles for me, and he had some of my stuff in the car and in the back seat, like my
Okay, whose idea
television.
was that? Was that your father's idea or
I
yours?
think it was him because you know what? I lived in Los Angeles for 10 years and I never drove back and forth. I always flew. So I was like a little privileged, you know.
Yes, I was
Um,
just gonna say, you princess, your father did you she wait, get this guys. She flew out and her father drove the car across town just so she
well,
could
I'm
have
the
and then did he fly
princess,
back?
so
Did he fly back?
he
Wait,
flew back. Yeah, yeah, because he left the car for me. So he flew
what did
back.
you just say, Chenese? I just missed it. You said something when I said he flew back. Did you
I
say?
said, I'm the princess. So that's
Yeah.
why.
And your mom, what's your relationship with your mom like? What's your mom like?
Oh, we're very close. And so, she flew out too. She probably flew out with me and helped me unpack and
Oh my
get
God.
settled in.
Oh my God. So,
What?
okay. So you hit the ground, and then they left. They left you
Yes.
alone, and you're in LA from Baton Rouge. What was that first day like?
It
Was it
was a
culture shock?
culture shock.
It
Yes,
was.
a big one. A big one because the people were different, the food was different. And I remember going out networking and somebody was like they couldn't understand what I was saying because my southern accent was so thick. So some people didn't even understand me. And
Oh my
also street cleaning, like I would come outside and there'd be tickets on my car, and I'm like, how am I
God.
parked in front of my house and get a ticket? I was like, what is going on
Well,
out
at
here?
home there's plenty of parking, right?
Yes, and we don't do street cleaning, so I never
Right, right.
like that street didn't need to be cleaned every week. That's just
No,
making
right.
money.
Only in the dirty ass city. This has to be cleaned every week. All right, I want to just brag a little bit about you. So if I can come up and show some photographs. But first, let's see. I just want to show some photographs, and I want you each photograph. I know there's probably a story to it, so just tell us a story for each photograph. I love this one.
Yes. So I took this picture in New Orleans because I always like to keep my promotional images up to date. Because when I do interviews or hosting an event, I just don't want the same pictures over and over and over. They get old after a while. However, on the back end is I had just lost everything from a flood and
Oh
was
my God,
displaced.
in this when you took this picture?
Yes, I was
Oh my
displaced
gosh.
and lost every that was the great flood of 2016, and my
Oh
family
yeah,
and
I
I, we were
remember that.
displaced for 2 years. We were displaced because we had to
Wow.
build the house again, from the bottom up. We had to
So
gut the house out.
it flooded the house complete. I know anybody who's been with the flood, it's so damaging. Like water can be so damaging to property, but you would never know. Look at your face. You look fierce.
Yes. And I think somebody probably gave me that shirt or something because I lost a lot
Woo!
of my clothes too.
Oh gosh.
But
So
I know, you have to keep going no
were you
matter what.
happy? Were you happy when the pictures got back?
Oh yeah, these are a beautiful set of pictures that some
I
of my
really love
some
it.
of my best work.
Yeah. And but you're right. What you just said is right. Is like, I remember like even doing, broadcasts. I have to, I didn't feel like doing a broadcast. I'd have to show up and do it. It doesn't matter what mood you're in. It doesn't matter what you're going through. You have to, step on your mark, say your lines, show up to, call time, and that's it. They don't care what's going on in your life. They just
Right,
want you to hit your mark. Boom.
right.
And get to the next one. Let's go to the next picture. I remember this campaign. Isn't this campaign for LGBTQ community? Yeah.
Yes, this was
No,
no hate. It was
no
very,
hate.
very popular
It
celebrity
was.
driven campaign.
I remember
And
this.
yeah, and so this is to show your support and allyship to the LGBTQ community. This, no hate. And this was done in 2010, right after I went viral for my Love Your Body Day campaign. And we wanted to keep the momentum I had got from going viral. And so we did this to keep it going with, new content and
I
to show my support.
I absolutely remember this. This totally went viral. I remember this campaign. A lot of people, a lot of big celebrities were involved in it. Wonderful. And what? How about this gorgeous picture? I love this picture.
So I took this picture in Memphis, Tennessee, and I love this picture because it dispels the myth that Black people can't swim. Because I was in a swimming pool floating on my back for this photo shoot,
Ooh.
and it also dispels the myth that Black women don't get their hair wet because that is my real hair floating in the pool,
What? It's
and
beautiful.
yes, and I
Ah,
am comfortable in water. I swim like a fish.
and I love, and that's more your true color. Remember we talked about the other, well, they'll see the picture soon, but where the other picture was in your true color, like your skin color. This is more your true skin color. I love it so much too. I love the blue and just the blue water, and then your hair. It just looks so beautiful. I love it so much.
Thank you.
Okay, and we have this one where they made you a little darker, right?
Yeah, that foundation wasn't my exact shade, but the picture came out really nice.
I
And
love it. I love it. Yeah, with Kim
and this
Coles. What was
Yes,
this
and this
for?
was for Love Your Body Day. I can't
Hmm.
remember what year, but she was my celebrity host one year. I did the event 6 years. She was my celebrity host one day, and I love, love, love her so much. She's very kind and very nice, and everybody was so excited that she was a part of the event. She used to be a plus size model back in the day, so
Wow, I didn't know that. I did not know that. I always thought she was very
yes,
beautiful. I always thought she was very beautiful, and she's very, very funny.
yes,
I worked on Living Single. I did guest star, a couple of guest stars on Living Single, and she was really so nice. Like everybody on that
yes.
set was pretty nice.
Yeah, so some people are kind of phony in Hollywood, but she's one of the
No,
nice
they're
ones in real
not.
life.
Queen Latifah's like that too, super down to earth, like so, like
Yes.
way down to earth. Like you don't even feel like you're with. She's just so she makes you feel like you're the only person in the room. Kim Cole's super friendly and super nice too. Wonderful. Little bragging about you. Speaking of, let's cover a couple of the current events, shall we?
Okay.
I wanted your thoughts on the recent Lizzo and her dancer suing her kind of thing, and I'll tell you what I think after you tell me what you think.
Okay. So it kind of goes with what I was just saying about Kim Coles, how some people are, phony in Hollywood and some
Yeah,
people are very nice and authentic. Now, I haven't had the pleasure to meet Lizzo, but, just because her brand is portrayed in one way in private, that doesn't mean she's, something different. So, sometimes when it's two people accusing each other of things, sometimes the truth is somewhere in the middle, but I
yeah.
do, think there is some truth in what those dancers are saying.
Very well said. And I spoke to a friend of mine who's a choreographer and a dancer, and I said, "Hey, do dance, maybe dancers, maybe it's good that they came out and said this because maybe dancers haven't been treated historically well." He's like, "No." He goes, "We have a union." He's like, "When we go
Mm,
on tour, he's like, all the tours that I've been on, he's like, it's like top notch. You're lucky to even be there." And he said that they treat you really well because they have a union, so there's standards. And I think, I mean, when you're invited out to extra personal things, you have to kind of say yes or no to that. That is, I don't think it's part of the touring. And I think these girls were kind of young, maybe. I don't know.
yeah,
They
they
were
wanted to be friends, but it should have stayed professional.
It's and Lizzo is from the hood. Like, make no mistake, Lizzo is from the hoodie hood. Like, she's
Hmm.
a beautiful, polished, amazing artist, and she's an incredible. She does an incredible show. Her show is incredible. So I mean, but make no mistake, she's inviting you out. It's like she's just probably assuming that you're good with it. You know what I mean? So it's like
Right.
it's a very gray area. So I'm wondering
They
how
don't give artists etiquette training like they did like Motown days.
No, they don't. And so I think it'll be a good listen for Lizzo because I learned too the hard way, like don't get too close to, you've got to keep a professional distance from people
Right.
that you work with. So how about speaking of swimming in that beautiful picture and you in the pool, how about the Alabama brawl, the riverboat fight? What do you think about that? Oh
Well,
my God. It's
let me
sad we're
see. How can
laughing.
I be PC?
Don't say anything you don't
So
want to say.
well, I think it started off with assault. There was
Yeah, I
a
did.
worker, a
Yeah.
man there
Just doing his
doing his
job.
job,
Yeah.
and he was doing what he was supposed to do. He was on the clock at work, and he was assaulted. So that's how everything started. And
Hmm.
those people, the white family, just had the audacity to think that they, owned the place and they could do whatever they wanted to. But they
Yeah,
soon found out that life doesn't always work that way.
that's right.
Um, so if I saw somebody older getting her beat up and harassed, I would try and defend them too. And that's all it was happening.
Yeah. Can you imagine they're on the boat? One of the things I was thinking though, I was like, they were having a damn good time on that boat. And I'm like, what's it called? The Harriet? Why am I not on a boat? And I'm over here working. And they're like, because if you see the beginning of the video, if you guys play it back, everybody's talking, clinking glasses.
Yeah, having a good old
They're
time.
having a good old time. I'm like, why am I not on a riverboat? Why am I in front of my computer right now? I need to go on a riverboat cruise, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and the last thing I want to say about that, the only thing I want to say about that whole entire thing, because I don't advocate, violence either, but don't start none, won't be none. Okay? And we're done with that. All right, one more thing, one more current event, if I may. Um, Tory Lanez just got convicted of 10 years yesterday. I think it was yesterday, the day before yesterday, for shooting Megan the Stallion. I guess I don't know, he must have shot her in her foot or whatever. Do you think that's too harsh? What do you think about that?
No, I think that it was fair because the judge gave him that amount of time on purpose because she stated he probably wouldn't serve the full amount. People get out on free, good behavior and all different types of things. So, usually, in general, people don't really serve their full term, and the prisons are overpopulated anyway.
Oh, you think he'll probably give him like 5 years, probably probation. So that'll
Yeah,
make it
he's not
the
going to
term
he
to be
yeah,
5 years.
he's going to do something, and
Yeah.
they'll let him out.
I think he definitely has to go in for something. I mean, the evidence is, I mean, obviously you shot somebody. You shot somebody.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
And I think
something's going to happen to you.
that wasn't his first
It was,
offense either.
so that probably made the case even more complicated. Of course, I mean, he's a black man walking. It's not going to be his first offense. But when I first heard the story, I don't think they were prosecuting him yet or anything. It was like 3 years ago or something. And Megan kind of was like touched upon it and like made it public. Like she didn't make it
Yeah,
public yet.
they really crucified her because they say she was a liar.
I
Um
just know that the internet is so evil sometimes. They just hate women. They just hate women.
yeah.
Like, and the
Yeah.
internet just likes when you want to bash on a woman. Like, look at the Johnny Depp and I mean, they just like. I get like you don't agree with her or agree with what her behavior is, but then the internet just bashes you so hard. It's just overkill.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
outweighs the crime. The
Right.
punishment of the social media. So that's
Right.
what
So
I tell
everybody
people.
suffered.
I tell people because we're doing content and trying to make people more famous through their reels, sticky reels, and I say just be careful. Like even like these content creators like Gary Vaynerchuk, Alex Hormozy, all these people who are like doing they pay people to do 1,000 videos a month, a week.
Hmm.
They're flooding the internet with their videos and then become famous, of course, and organic reach. But what they don't know that I know is that you've got to be very careful with media because it can turn on you.
Oh
It can turn
yeah.
on you. It can absolutely turn you. And you've got to just step and when it looks like it's turning on you, you got to nip that in the bud. And you got to
Right.
just got to grab it by the horns. Shanice knows about me that okay, let's talk about how we met.
Yeah.
I thought I met you, and you told me I'm wrong, but I thought I met you maybe at the play, but I came to the play
No.
because I met you before that, right?
Yes. So I moved to Los Angeles to pursue a career in entertainment. That was 2004. And so, I was building my brand, trying to be diverse in my
Yeah.
brand and expand to different things. And so I was introduced to this group called the Goddess Gathering by one of my co stars on a television show I was on. And so the Goddess Gathering was created and led by supermodel Tamiko Frazier. She's
Tamiko
the
Frazier, the
yeah, she's the face
freaking
of Maybelline Cosmetics.
Maybelline. Oh, she's so
Um,
gorgeous. She said
Yes,
were
and
those.
so it was like a group to empower women. So,
That's
I always like
right.
to be around positive women, but I was able to network and meet new women because, I was new to town. And so,
That was perfect to get into that group. Tamiko is just like just gorgeous. Like I hated
yes.
going to parties with her because it was the only time nobody looked at me. We walk in the room and that bitch is so fine that like everybody be like, I mean, she's
Who is
amazing.
that?
I wish I had her picture propped and ready to go to show everybody how fine she was.
Well, she pursued a career in hosting besides being a model. And she brought it to me and was like, have you ever been interested in hosting? That's something you can add to your your brand. And before that, I never really thought about it seriously. And so
That's
I
so
think,
wild. I didn't know that, Shanice.
yeah, that was my introduction to it. And so she must have already been one of your students, and you gave her some type of deal to
Okay.
let all the women in the Goddess Gathering know, if you want to take hosting classes, it's a special going on for all the goddesses.
I
And so
completely
I
forgot about
took it
that.
up, and Tamika was like, the teacher, do you know Idalis from MTV? And I was like, yes, I know Idalis from MTV. Are you kidding me? And so I was like, well, I know she knows how to host because she was on, I was watching her on TV. So you were already credible. And so, I
Hmm.
took your
Hmm.
classes and, we just hit it off from there. And besides, hosting and trying to be a plus size model, I was acting and I was in a play, and you came and supported me
Oh,
and
and let me
saw
say,
me.
you were so good in that play. And I was like, did you? I don't know if you knew this, but in that moment, I said to myself, this girl's really good. Like, and anybody who knows me, I'm very picky when it comes to acting. Like, I don't like anybody's acting. I think everybody can act because I think I'm the greatest actress in the world. So, me and Meryl Streep, we're homies. So, anyways, and Angela Bassett too. Like those are my girls, okay?
Right.
Anyways, yeah, but I saw you were so good in that play. And
Thank
after the
you.
play, I don't think I ever told you this, but after the play, I was like, I had a girlfriend with me, I think one of the teachers that I was working with. I said, man, she's really good. She could host and act. I was like, I think I should manage her. Like I was thinking about managing you.
And what happened?
But what happened was I was building my business and I got so busy. And that's why when we had a pre-interview, guys, me and Chenese, and we talked about that. And I'm like, it's such a shame. Like, and I want to implore on the young people now, like, if you have a thought to do something, go do it and make the time for it. Because what happens when you're in your 20s and your 30s, and I was probably in my 40s, um, you get busy and you get just caught up. And you were talking about where you look back at your career and the way you started this interview today. Shanice, you say you look back and you started your career, you look back and go, all the work that you did. I was looking back at all the work that you did. I look back at my work, and when you're in it, you feel like you need more work. Like
Right.
when you're in it, you don't feel like you're doing that much.
You're
Did
right.
you feel
Right.
that way?
Yeah, because when I moved home, I was like, man, when I was in Los Angeles, I wish I would have did more. I wish I would have did more things just to maximize it. But you know what? I did great. I'm getting the Icon Award, so I did
Oh my
something
God,
right.
you did so much. And one of the things that I want to implore with people with branding is one of the things that you did very well is that you executed well. I'm more of a strategy and a planner, and sometimes I tend to dwell on that and I have to execute. But you were immediately out the gate and executor. And I think that was what makes the difference. Yes, there needs to be some strategy and some planning, but executing is more important than planning. So, you guys, when you're building your brand, on camera brand, the way Shanice did, and she experienced so much success, she created an event. She created things. She didn't wait. And you know what I love? I love your website. If you want to go to shanicelewis.com, you can book her for private sessions as well. There's a small nominal fee for that, and she will teach you how to get gigs, speak to the speaker. I love your website because it really promotes you. You almost make it like it's almost like a newspaper article website. It's almost like a entertainment magazine. And you create articles on the events that you're doing, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just so good. It's so good. So you were out the gate when you came to me. You already had Love Your Body Day. It was an event that you were producing, which Kim
Yes.
Coles was one of the event hosts.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
you came to me, and I was like, how am I going to promote this girl more? And I was just like, what did I say to you?
You said you should start a podcast. And I said, what's that? I never even heard of a podcast.
Okay,
What does
guys,
that mean?
this was 10 years ago. Okay. This was when they were doing like more audio podcasts. A
Well, it
lot of
was
people did audio.
2008. That's more than
Yeah.
10 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, more, right? Oh, yeah. Way more than 10 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
so 2008 is when I came to you and you
wow.
suggested that I do a podcast to practice my interviewing skills because you were teaching me how to do interviews on the red carpet. And you told me when a celebrity comes down the red carpet, you know, you have to be prepared and you have to be ready because you might not know who's coming down. You just have to be a great interviewer. And so you said, always told me, practice, practice, practice. And the podcast was an excellent way to perfect my interviewing style.
Okay. Gave this girl the idea. She went off and running. I started doing podcasts every week. And she was just like,
Yes.
and honestly, the between the Love Your Body Day, which did bring you a lot, like, aren't you glad that you worked with? Now, what was the organization you worked with that put you down when you came here? What's the name of the organization again that made you do the Love Your Body Day?
Now, which stands for National Organization for Women. And I hadn't heard of that organization prior to Los Angeles, but when I
Wait a
came,
minute. Isn't now an old organization for like women's rights for many years?
yeah,
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 that's
yeah,
now. That's who you worked with.
yeah.
Oh
They
my
like do
God.
things at the White House and everything.
Yes, Gloria Steinem. They have pictures from the 70s where they have
Yeah.
now. Shut up.
So I wasn't familiar with the organization prior to moving to Los Angeles, but I was promoting positive body image as Miss Plus America. And
Right.
somebody said, well, you know, now has this initiative called Love Your Body Day. And I was like,
Hmm.
no, I had never heard of it because they don't really they have it as an initiative, but that's not one of the main things they promote. You know, they're more like political and other things.
So they said they would just spotlight, just make sure you could use it now, or you can,
Well,
or you
I
did it
went
for
and
them with them.
I Googled and I found a local chapter and I
Mm.
joined the Hollywood chapter. Now,
Okay, guys,
ironically,
wait, before you finish, Shanice, guys, if you want a brand, if you're in a small town, big town, doesn't matter what size town, each town has these organization, NAACP or Chicano organization, what, like go and find out what are the grassroots organizations in your town. Start working with them, start creating things, volunteer, create something the way that Shanice did. That brought her. Come on, Shanice. That event brought you so much work
oh, it did. It did.
because you
And
did a lot
so
of work. It was a lot of work to put on.
it was. And so when
Yeah.
I approached them, I said, you know, I'm interested in specifically your Love Your Body Day initiative. I went there knowing what I wanted to do. And so it was a new chapter that just formed, and they were looking for people to lead stuff. So it was
Oh wow. Because
perfect
you never know.
timing.
And
Huh?
honestly, Shanice, to be associated with NOW is like a big, big deal. National Organization of Women. Like that's a huge deal. That's a
And
big, big deal.
after I created and produced the event for that local Hollywood chapter, I eventually became the president of the chapter.
Wow, that's amazing. I love it. I love it. And you're also a community chapter in your town in Baton Rouge, aren't you?
Yes, now I'm not as active in
As you
National
were.
Organization for Women anymore, but now in Baton Rouge, I'm active in other nonprofits.
Now you
Um,
had that segues us because you had to go back home. So Shanice came out here. a young girl from Baton Rouge wanting to make her dreams come true, came to California, total culture shock, met Tamiko, got in a goddess circle. Good idea to get into organizations and little circles like that so you can meet people. Got with Now, started to put on the event Love Your Body Day. All this work came to her. And started to enjoy an amazing career for years. Was acting, hosting, sponsoring, speaking. Did you ever write a book, Shanice? You never wrote a book?
It's on my to-do list. I want a
Oh,
book
wow. You
deal.
were so
Like
busy, I bet.
some people write it and put it on Amazon, and I was like, I want a book deal. I don't want my book just
Yeah, well, it's never too
independent.
late. It's never too late.
Yeah.
So you enjoyed this amazing career. Then you got a call from your mom, I think, right? Was your mom or your dad that
My
called
mom
about?
telling me, my dad was real sick and in the hospital, and I need to come home to see how he was, because he had been in the hospital for, I think, like 2 months. And
And
so
this is a lot of things that artists and people face in their careers as we get older. Our parents are aging, and then you're in it, in LA. And I know so many of my colleagues that made this, and I had to go through this too. It's
mhm,
so heart wrenching because life, career is important, but it's like you really gotta balance it and go. Life. I've got to be with my father and my mother. Like I've got to be
right.
with them.
And so I'm the only child, so it's not like
Oh, yeah. So that's even a bigger deal because you're the only child. Oh, I think you froze a little bit. Oh, Shanice, wait, Shanice. Okay, I think you might be back.
I'm back.
Okay, cool. So who'd you get the call from? From your mom or what?
So my mom was like, you need to come home and help me with your father. I need help because I'm taking care of him, but I can't
Hmm.
do it alone. It's going to wear me out. I need backup. And
Yes.
so I moved home.
When
Uh,
was this? 2014, you said?
yeah, I moved home
2014. 10 years ago.
2014. So
10 years ago.
I lived in Los Angeles for 10 years. 10,
What a
from 2004 to 2014, it was 10 years
what a
exactly.
ride. What a
Yeah.
ride.
And so when I moved home, I really thought everything was over. I was like, well, I had to stop my career while I was slowly rising and slowly, becoming, a little more known.
Hmm.
And I was just like, well, that's it. It's over. But, to
You're
my
being you're being really modest, but if you go to her website, you've done Dr. Phil Entertainment Tonight. I mean, you've done so much,
but I
so
was
much.
thinking, since I was leaving LA, then, Dr. Phil not in Baton Rouge. So I was about to be back on the show.
Right, but you can't stop Shanice. I mean, are you kidding me? She's back in town, and then she like goes and joins a community board, and you are. Tell us about the event. I love that. I saw a news. You did a news piece. The local news did a piece on you because you joined an organization like the museum when they were having the
Yeah.
parade, the Spanish Town parade.
Well, wait, before I get to that, I want to say, so when I moved home, to my surprise, people were still interested in me and still wanted to book me, and they were going to fly me out. So I
Oh,
was,
yeah. So it
yeah,
didn't stop. The
yeah, I
offers
didn't.
didn't
So
stop.
I wasn't expecting that. For some reason, I didn't think, people were going to invest their money in me, but I was still doing things. I had to just
So
fly
true.
back and forth now.
Yeah.
That's pre-pandemic. But
Especially I think pandemic put the nails in the coffin for me. It was great because people always wanted to be in my presence to get coached, and then I was trying to push people to be virtual, and then finally with the pandemic came, I was like, thank you. But people don't want to be in person anymore, thank God. But so you went back and still was getting booked here and there, and then you had to take care of your father. What happened with your father?
well, when I moved home, he improved.
Oh, of
I took
course.
I
Wow.
took over his doctor's appointments, and take him all his doctor's appointments, and I just really took over his health care, and I give him his medicine every day. He probably wasn't taking the medicine correctly, and he
Right.
improved, because when I first moved home, he was
That's
bedridden,
wild.
but now, he's
Wow.
up and walking,
Wow. That's
and he
amazing.
yeah, so it
Shanice,
I
he needed a little daughter love. He needed
oh
a
yeah,
little
well, I
daughter
know
love.
100%. Me coming back home definitely was beneficial to his health. It's obvious.
So back home, and things started bubbling up for you again in 2021.
Yeah. So in 2000, everything shut down. Some of my regular gigs that I was getting booked for and flown out for quit. And so 2020, we were kind of just in the house, inside. And 2021, I tried to get back on track and
And this
you
year you're
know,
blowing up. And this year you're blowing up. You're being honored. You're
yes,
on cover magazine, cover this band. I don't know podcast. I don't know what year. Like how many magazines are you the cover of? And this my interview with you. Um, we've been doing a lot about self love, Shanice, and I know so going back home, so once you thought that things weren't not coming again, do you ever reflect in your career and see like, wow, I really, even though you spouted you're a self-esteem advocate, did you ever have trouble with that? Did you ever go, I don't like, especially going back home, did you ever feel like, oh, I'm not going to work? I know you said kind of you didn't think you were going to work as much anymore, but did that get you down? And then how do you
yeah.
Oh, it did get you down. Okay, because you're such the body positive image. Like we all think that you don't get depressed or anything.
Well, I don't know if I got depressed because I felt like, I was being an excellent daughter by coming
Yeah,
home and helping take care of my
absolutely.
family. So I don't regret that. So I just felt like I
That was
was
the right.
missing.
That was the right
Yeah,
decision. Hmm.
I just felt like I was missing out on opportunities. Like if
Hmm.
I stayed in LA a little longer, I could have had another television show. I could have, made another co-host or something. I could have, maybe got a manager and did something.
But
So
look
I
what
just,
happened. Pandemic. It's a hot mess.
yeah. So
Hollywood is a hot.
everything,
Ain't nothing going on but the rent out here. Okay,
yeah,
so ain't
everything happens
nothing.
for a reason. And not only like the pandemic hit, but then I started having issues with my back. So it was
Okay, you had
best for
health
me
issues.
to be home. It all worked
Yes,
out. It all worked out how
it
it was
really
supposed to
did.
be.
Tell me about self love because I think you're the person. Because this week we've been doing self love, and I think it's really important to be an on camera personality that it comes from inside. So, being on camera and doing everything that I do, it does not come from the external guys. Yes, I did practice read aloud. I made Chenese read aloud 1,000 times a day.
Yes, you did.
Um, when you came with your little accent, I'm like, don't swallow your words. And she was so good. You were such a good student. You are like, just like I said, like there should be a sitcom. Everybody loves Shanice because you are a ray of sunshine. It's because you have two amazing parents. You come from a beautiful like state like Louisiana and New Orleans. I mean, Baton Rouge. And it's just that whole kind of thing is just it's just you come with that like just sweetness and like you're just like sweet tea on a porch.
All
Okay,
right.
on a hot day, on a hot summer day. So self-love, can you give me some game on that, Shanice? Because how did you have like a self-talk? Like how do you do that? The self-love
Well,
part, like when you're feeling down or when you see criticism or anything, and like you have to reinforce yourself, or you have to be strong for something, like maybe putting on your event, or and just like we have these thoughts that self-talk. Do you like monitor your self-talk to make sure that you have self-love?
I will say this. My mother instilled confidence and self-love in me at an early age. And so she was a elementary school teacher. So she had the tools on how to speak to young adults. She was trained in elementary education. And so
Mm.
she taught me at a young age that I was smart and beautiful. And if anybody had anything negative to say about me, to ignore them. Now, my mother told me this in elementary school, and I can remember that talk she had with me to this day as an adult. So that's something that I had carried with me my entire life. You just ignore negativity. She didn't tell me to fight. She didn't tell me to, She just told me to be
So
above it.
like she wired you to think that way, right? So
Yes.
it starts early. It starts when they're kids, you know. I took some time
Yes.
off from coaching for the last 4 years, and I've been working with grammar school kids. And I cannot tell you how much I pour into them constantly, you know, doing social emotional learning, which is like you don't reprimand them for, because they're in development. Like there's no wrong or right. Like with kids,
Right.
like you just got to let them be who they are, you know, and
Right.
allow them and then nurture them in a way that's it's supportive with social emotional learning. So
I
your
got
mom was
sweat.
doing that. Your mom
I
was
got
doing
sweat running
SEL.
down my face. Wait a
Now
minute.
I'm sweating too, girl. I'm sweating too. It's okay. I'm sweating too.
I don't know if that sweat going down was gonna show
Let
on
me get my
camera.
boobs. Let me get my boobs, the crack of my boobs right here. Woo! That feels good. Okay. Um, it's hot, guys. It's the summertime. She's in Louisiana. Give her a break. Jesus Christ. Okay, so any other things about self-love and how you deal with maybe stress or depression at the time? Like, is there a method or something you use, or you just get let it pass through you?
Um, so I never had a problem with confidence or self-esteem, and I've always been, on the plus side, but I never really got teased awfully or belittled because maybe it was my environment. My household was positive and my parents were
That's
positive.
so great. That's so great.
In school
No,
I
and
was
let
popular.
can I say this? And the reason she was popular in school, and if you watch any of her interviews, YouTube her, Chenese Lewis, YouTube her. Um, in your interviews, you are so calm about when you talk about positive self body image, and you're very clear about like you're not like advocating people to eat everything and be like overweight. Like that's not your thing. Your thing is not about weight. Your thing is about self-esteem. It doesn't not matter
Yeah.
what way, because you're like love your body day. I actually should have gone to love your body day,
Yeah.
you know, at that
They
time.
did
And
have
like
skinny people there. It was for all
yeah,
sizes.
you know, I got to tell you a story. When I was younger, I was very, very bone thin. And I'm telling you guys, and this is for all the teenagers out there that grow up scrawny and thin, boys and girls. I had a complex literally for like 7 years. Like I literally could not gain any weight for whatever reasons. And it was so hard. It is painful. It is painful, you guys. And
But
this was
then
the
when you
80s.
got
This was the
when you got
80s.
an entertainment that was celebrated, though, I'm sure.
No, well, I kind of filled out a little bit more as I got to 18, 19. And yes, I got taller and I got more beautiful. Like I bloomed. But yeah, it was celebrated more then. And then, but before that, I was miserable. And we would get shade. I couldn't buy jeans at the time. I mean, I was really, really, I mean, very, very thin people are also very miserable. Like, I know it sounds crazy, but I'm telling you, there's another sector of us that have not become teenagers or full adults yet. And when we're scrawny, you're the preteens going to teens, years. That's 11 to like 16, 17. Like, you could like not bloom. You could be a late bloom. I was a late bloomer. And it's so painful to watch. In the 80s, the models were all voluptuous, big boobs, whatever. So there's different sides of the coin of people's pain. And you never were like that. You were never, it's about, she's like, it's about you feeling good about yourself. You always had the right words. You would be like, you know, even when you were on Dr. Phil, you were like, oh, well, you know, plus size models have to be a certain size. Actually, they have to be a little bit smaller than you think because the camera gains 50 pounds. Like you were very, like you knew your game. And then you said, it's more about feeling good about where you are in that moment, wherever you are, you know, and feeling good about yourself. So about self positive image of yourself. And that's self
Right.
love.
Right. And that could be more than just body size. That could be hair texture. That
Mm-hmm.
could be
Mm-hmm.
skin tone. It's
Mm-hmm.
a variety of things, because mainstream media only put one look on a platform and celebrate. Mainstream media only thinks it's one type of girl next door or all American
And
look.
that's because men have been at the helm of it for so long, and Now there's a lot more women and a lot more people of color. So hopefully those images are starting to change.
Yeah, I hope so. And I think social media, that's one pro to social media, that influencers of different shapes and sizes can create a following now. And young
Hmm.
girls can just, have somebody positive to look up to right on Instagram.
Yeah, my brother never went out with skinny bitches. He liked junk in the trunk. He liked some nice thick
Well, you
girls.
Puerto Rican, so he better.
He likes thick girl. He don't like skinny girls. He don't like the bony. He's like, oh, bony. And that gave me more of a complex. My brother's like, oh, you're so bony.
Oh,
No, really. He loves women with, a little junk in the trunk. And yeah, so, and we need to see those images so that like, it's just not, it's just these unrealized body standards are just like so detrimental to people. So I love all the new campaigns that are showing real women. We've always wanted to see them. I think even of my girl group, when I was in a girl group, we took over Martha Wash thing. Martha Wash did our first single, and they offered us the record, and we did a whole album behind that.
because
But she was the first single. I was like, why don't you just use her? And they were just
they
like,
didn't
yeah,
want to show
no.
her look.
And listen, since the internet has removed those gatekeepers, I said, I think Martha Wash would be amazing to be the front girl of a group and you guys behind. Like, I thought that would be amazing.
Well,
But
she
they,
sued people. She ended up suing people.
yeah, and rightly so. But it's just like, why wouldn't you want her to be, everybody be in the front? Like,
Yeah, because
she is,
they didn't think she was marketable.
she's
So I mean,
everybody.
Lizzo, even though Lizzo is in trouble right now, for her to be a
Mhm.
mainstream pop artist
Amazing.
headlining thing is a
But
big
I
deal.
always knew that was, I always knew that was possible. And I'm like, who are the gatekeepers? That's one of the best things about the internet now and YouTube is that people go to YouTube to see the things they can't see on TV because the gatekeepers who have prevented us from seeing all these amazing people, Joe Rogan or whoever it is, like all these podcasters we would never normally see, including you, is like we love them. Look how many views they're getting. Look how many and if it was up to the gatekeepers, we would never see these people. So I love the internet for that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So guys, I guess you can tell I was a little excited about this interview. I know I'm a little bit like extra. There's so much more I can talk to you about, Shanice. What time? See, okay, we got 10 more minutes. I can't believe I have any minutes left. I had to choose what I was going to talk to you about because there's so much. You have so much. Can you share with us anything else about self-love or body images or anything that you're doing and what we should look out for?
Well, I guess my last word about self love is it has to come from the inside. You can't look for outside validation, because if you're trying to please people and looking for them to validate you, you're going to fail every time. You can't look for a man to make you feel beautiful. You have to feel beautiful inside and have confidence in yourself. Even if somebody tells you you're ugly, you have to have confidence inside yourself and be like, no, I'm not. You're lying.
You,
So,
you know what, Shanice, now that you say that, I remember, because I remember in your answer from before that your mom instilled this in me. My mom instilled it in me too. She was like, yeah, no, blah, blah, blah. She was always like, when you're ever in the presence of a man, he pays. When you're ever like when you're this, the face, the body's great, but the face commands. She said, she'd tell me. She was just like, because I was like having, body, like, shame. And she was like, the body's okay, the body's great, but the face commands. And meanwhile, she had a smoke. My mom had a smoking body. She's the one that instilled self confidence in me to the point where I got to school, I was shocked that not everybody thought I was the most amazing thing on the planet. Like even yeah, there were some guys when I liked some guys in school, whatever, in
mhm.
college or I went to community college. I was like, if I liked a guy, like they didn't like me back, I was shocked.
Well, yeah. Then they saw you on MTV and regretted it because you were like the hottest thing going in the world.
In my world, I had my own swag. Um, Great, Shani. So what? Where can everybody find you? I know I would say go to CheneseLewis.com if you want to book her for an event, if you want to work with her, if you want to just see what else. There's so much on the web. Like I couldn't, like we literally have do a part two because you have so
Yes.
much. It's a lot. And I wanted to go a little bit more in depth with the story with your father and your mom and all this stuff, but we'll do in part two. We'll just come back. Um, what
But
would you
yeah,
say? Okay, what advice do you have for anybody else who wants to brand visually? Would you say like photography, like make sure you get your pictures done, and then what do you think of the new AI and all that stuff? Do you think it's going to make things easier? Are you afraid of it? Do you think it's going to take jobs? And what do you think about the SAG strike? So sorry, I just
okay,
asked you
that's a
like
whole bunch of questions.
I just asked you like five questions.
So the first thing with the photos, I think you just have to always be have marketing and pictures that are industry standard, because you can have some
Mm.
pictures and they look a mess. Even though you pay for it, it's more about the quality of the photography as well as your look, but the work of the photographer matters.
You've
Um,
been always good at that. Like part of my program was like you got to go out and do a photo shoot, and I would send people out do it, and they'd come back with the most hideous pictures, and I'd be like, don't you don't? And then I realized not everybody has an eye, and they don't know how to
and
pick a
some people don't want to
photographer.
pay the money, but you have to invest in
Right,
yourself.
right. And if you don't have the money, like just even take your iPhone and have one of your friends that has a good eye. Like one of your friends has a really good eye. They know how to frame the shot. They know how to do lighting framing, and then you got to do the beautiful hair and flawless makeup. Get something shot, and then when you have money, save up the money and then do a professional photo shoot.
Now,
What do
this
you
is what
what
I
do you
used to
think?
do in LA. I don't know if you could still do it in 2023, but what we
What?
used to do back in the day to cut corners, if we needed our makeup done for a photo shoot or to go
Oh,
an event, we go to the Mac counter
oh
and
yes.
just let them do it at it used to be Fox Hills Mall. I don't know what it's called out there
Oh
now.
yes, that's the way to get it done because that's a lot cheaper than hiring
Yeah,
a
because that was
hair
just
and
like
makeup artist.
$40. You just
Yeah,
had to buy some
45 bucks.
lashes.
45 bucks.
Yeah.
Did you see that article? And well, I shouldn't mention it here. It's really gross. The girl went to get her makeup done and she got HIV in her eyes.
I did not see that. What are
All
you
right,
talking
I
about?
shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. Erase that. I'll edit it out. Oh, sorry, we're live. Can't edit it out. Yeah, no, but that was the best. Yeah, to go get it's $45 where it would be
Or
$150
they
to get
used to have
hired
a
up.
Mac like in, I think it was in Beverly
Yeah,
Hills, the
Mac
Mac
used to do it.
store.
Yeah, Mac used to do it. They still do it. They still do it.
Okay, I didn't know if that was still a thing in 2023.
Oh, you know what? I don't know because of pandemic.
Yeah, I
You're
don't
right.
know.
You're right. You're
I
right.
can get a makeup artist these days, but back then I couldn't get a makeup artist for everything.
So visually, you always been good. That you always had a good eye. You picked really good photography. Like you always had that gift. You
Yeah,
always had
because
that gift.
I was trying to compete. Like, even though I was there an unknown, I would be competing against
Yeah, you're
known people because
modeling. Yeah.
they just put the people that look alike in the same category. So,
Hmm.
like, I might be unknown, but I'm against the comedians that are, brown and full figured, and so I was like, I need to look like I'm somebody, and like I need to look like a name talent, even though I'm not.
That's right. And you did. You really did. And that does attract a lot of good things, a lot of good gigs, a lot of sponsorships. Are you doing, let me ask you before we leave, are you doing any video these days? Or are you just taking
Wait,
care of your father and then you're doing gigs? Obviously I mean, what do your parents think about you? Like, okay, bitch is home for like a couple of years and all of a sudden she's starting to work again.
yeah, I mean, they're
Are they
excited.
like,
They're
yeah?
excited. They were always my biggest supporters. Even when I was in LA, I had 100% family support behind me. So they're excited. But wait, what something else you asked? I wanted to say, and I didn't forgot. Oh,
Wait.
about a video. My podcast is audio only. I
Mhm.
probably should have switched over to video a long time ago, but like today, getting up and doing my makeup and my hair, and now I'm sweating because I'm in front of this light. It's just
Woo,
too
it's a
much,
lot.
child.
It's a
It's a lot.
lot.
Now, some
And
people get
now,
on video looking any kind of way, and I think that's how they can do it so consistently. But I'm not gonna get on camera
Well, let me
looking
tell you
too
something about
regular.
audio podcasts. Let me tell you something about audio podcasts. Audio podcasts, there are like a billion like on camera podcasts, just so you know. There's not as many audio podcasts. So it might be tough to like compete in terms of like, getting up the charts on Spotify or, Apple or whatever the charts are. But there's not as much competition there. And and it's a lot easier to do them. And they still bring you things. When did you stop doing? Have you been doing it for 10 years or did you start again?
Oh, I'm 15 years now.
You've been
But
doing it all this time?
since 2008 now, I did have hiatuses like when I flooded out, I was on hiatus when I got
Mm,
sick, I'm on hiatus and
okay.
so I didn't have just like a show consistently every week from 2008 to now. But every time I go on a hiatus, I get an email from somebody's publicist saying, "Hey, can you interview my client?" Like publicists interview me to get interviews for their client because I do a nice interview because I practice my interview styles and skills.
Interview technique with
Yeah.
Idalis.
So I mean, a lot of these podcasts, they just talk about any old crazy
No,
stuff,
I
and
know. They're
sometimes they
just like,
be
where?
ghetto. And so,
Yeah.
some of the PR is looking for nice, polished, professional interviews to display their client and what they're trying to. So I always get PR people hit me up.
Well, Shanice, we absolutely love you. I definitely have to do this again soon. ShaniceLewis.com. Is there anything else that you want to promote? Should they find you? Hey, you know what I love about you too? Your Instagram page. Oh my God.
Yes, please follow me on all social media platforms. I'm everywhere, and all of my profiles are in my government name. So it's Shanice Lewis everywhere.
I know, so you can find it easy. Don't you hate when people like create these weird names and you can't find them on the Instagram?
Yes.
I am my Dallas director. So if you can find me on Instagram, I am my Dallas director. And of course at iDallas.com. Thank you so much, Shanice Lewis. Ladies and gentlemen, we love
Thank
you so much.
you.
And she'll be back on the show very soon. But next time, I'm going to have you really co host with me. Like, you're going to really, let's just do like topics and maybe we'll cover some of the stuff that we haven't done today. But
Okay.
we'll just do a co hosting show and we'll do it on like other things.
I'm down. I'm gonna have to get a ponytail because I think this hair is making me hot too.
Louisiana, you couldn't be in a hotter place. Thank you, everyone, for watching Let's Talk on Camera. We're here every day at 1 o'clock on Facebook Live. I guess maybe Wednesdays I'll try to do interviews. I don't have anybody booked for next week, but I will find someone. If not, you'll see me the next Wednesday after that with someone. But thank you, Shanice. Mwah! Big
Thank
kisses. And
you.
thank you, everyone, for watching and being with you, watching the replay. Make sure that you type in replay. Let us know how you like this broadcast and let me know who you want to maybe see on camera. Thank you, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye.